Hey everybody, it's Kia. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you guys my budget check-in for the month of September. I apologize for the delay in being able to upload any new videos or any responses lately here on YouTube. I have been working some crazy hours and then my voice started going out and it was just really crazy. But we got through deadline last week and we are all done. So I did want to go ahead and share with you guys kind of where I'm at. Once I do get the video uploaded and everything, I will try to increase the volume for you guys. I know I've had a couple comments about the volume. I actually have to turn it up like 400% for you guys to be able to hear me. I'm just a really quiet talker, I guess. I do have a microphone and it sits right in front of my face, and it's not even a really cheap microphone. It's actually a pretty good microphone, I think. So so yeah, I will try and increase that volume, and then once I get these edited and stuff, I might come back and increase the volume on the other video and re-upload it for you guys. That way maybe you can hear that better too. So I wanted to share with you guys where we were at for September so far, and like I said, I do have the expense trackers here. I do use these for budget check-in meetings with my husband. He prefers seeing it on paper. I prefer tracking it on the computer, and so I do write these out. That way he can see where all the money is going, with all the accounts that we're using, and just basically how quickly things really add up. So I did fill all these out. We're not going to go through them in detail. They are quite long actually, because it's 3 weeks worth of activity. On the other side of this one, I actually have my sinking fund activity that I like to track, and this is what I use to go ahead and fill in my weekly check-in page. So I did go through and I filled out my weekly check-in page. I've also filled in my paycheck tracker with all the actual numbers for the very first payday of the month. And I figured we'd just kind of walk through what we changed this month, how it's working so far, and kind of where we're at. So let's go ahead and zoom in and we'll go through all these. Okay, so I'm all zoomed in, and if you see a shadow on there, I'm so sorry. The lighting just is not very good in this room, and I even have a little overhead light, but the shadows are just awful, so I'm going to kind of work around them for you. But I did go through and I filled everything out. I primarily track our autofill, food, and shopping, because those are the areas that I want to keep track of. Everything else I just track on the expense tracker, and in YNAB and my paycheck tracker. I feel like I get enough detail out of those that I don't need to increase however many lines I use on my weekly check-in page. So the very first week in September was actually a really short period. I like to track from Friday through Thursday, and so this week went from 9/1 to 9/3. The auto fuel carried over from the last payday from August, so we still had $100 left over from my trip when I went to Denver, and we filled both vehicles up. It was $47.76 to fill them up, and then we had $52.24 left over. I ended up actually transferring this $52.24 into our auto sinking fund, and I ended up starting fresh the next payday. And then the next payday and the payday after, we ended up not spending anything out of our fuel account. So I've transferred over the $100 that we did not spend into our auto sinking fund just like yesterday. So I think we've done pretty well on fuel, and I think going forward, after I get that auto fund kind of built up a little more, I'll probably end up decreasing our fuel budget down to like $75 or so, just to see kind of how that works for us. Now, one thing that we did change up this month was how all the bills were hitting and how much money we had left over each payday for groceries. In the past, what I've really liked to do was actually do like one big shopping trip at the beginning of the month. That way we had a general idea of what all of our groceries and our meals were going to be, things like that. And then throughout the month, we can have just a little bit of extra money to fill in for those areas for things that we forgot. So that's one thing that I tried to do. I wanted to make sure that we could do the bulk of our shopping at the beginning of the month. That way, hopefully, we could be a little more prepared and not go over our grocery budget quite as bad as we have been. So I ended up budgeting $550 for groceries. We did a big Walmart order, a big Sam's Club order, and then it's also green chili season here in New Mexico. So we also purchased some, we purchased a bushel of green chilies and had them roasted, and then we spent a day going through cleaning them up and getting them ready for freezing. So that very first couple days that fell within that first week, we spent $492.27 on groceries, and we ended up with $57.73 left over. Shopping, same kind of thing. I wanted to allocate the bulk of our shopping money on this very first paycheck, and then that way I knew how much I had just to kind of carry forward throughout the rest of the month. We ended up spending $53.88 that first couple days, and that left us with $206.12 to carry forward. So we still had quite a bit to carry forward after that very first couple days that fell within that first week. Starting on 9/4, that was actually my payday. So I reset the auto expense line for our gas, and I put another $100 in there, and I transferred that $52.24 off into that auto sinking fund. We ended up not spending anything, so that left us with $100. Food, I carried forward the $57.73, and we ended up doing a Walmart order as well as eating out. I think we ate out twice this week, and so we spent $95.24, and so that ended up making us go over a little bit in our grocery budget. We were about $37.51 over from what we had expected. The shopping, we still had $206.12 left over from that first week. We spent $178.82 on shopping. Shopping is, like I said, anything that we need around the house, any kind of general spending that does not go into groceries, and items that we're trying to, replenish around the house, things like that. So we spent $178.82. We still had $27.30 left over, and so I went ahead and I washed these two items together. That way I wasn't so far over our budget, and then the difference I took out of our checking account buffer. So not too bad. We spent $274.06 that week, and I was able to carry that $100 over to the following week for the auto fuel. So this third week, this is the last week before we got paid again, or before I got paid anyway. My husband got paid, I don't know, sometime earlier in the week, and I got paid on Friday. So we carried forward the auto fuel. We didn't spend any of it, and we ended up with $100 left over. His paycheck was actually a little more than I thought it was going to be, so I went ahead and I put $50 more into food. We spent $38.12, which left $11.88, and then we went ahead and put $50 back into shopping. We spent $23.80, and we still had $26.20 left over. So altogether, we budgeted $200 for the week. $61.92 was spent, and then we had $138.88 left over. I actually ended up transferring that $100 into our auto fund. The food, I've just kind of reset. I transferred anything left over into our buffer money for our checking account, and then we had $26.20 left over for shopping, and I did carry that forward to this new week. So just as a head start on this new paycheck week, I will be filming the paycheck budget here pretty soon, but I'm going to go ahead and do the regular $100 towards auto fuel, food, we went ahead and we wanted to put in $200 more in food just to kind of make it through. We did have a little bit of a date night, and we picked up Chinese food and picked up some milkshakes from Sonic, so that was a little bit extra for our food budget that we were going to need. And then I'm tentatively thinking about putting $200 more into shopping because we're still working on those things that we need around the house. Still looking for Tupperware that I want to get. I'm thinking about the glass Tupperware. Sam's Club actually has a pretty good deal on those right now. And then we want to get some meal prep containers, and then more filters for the heater vents, and I need some pants, and I need a haircut, and things like that. So I think I'm going to put $200 extra into that shopping line item, and that'll give us $526.20 left over to spend this week. Now, pulling in my Paycheck Tracker. This is the Paycheck Tracker that I shared earlier on in the month. I have already filled out all the actual numbers. At the beginning of the month, I was guesstimating my husband's paycheck was going to be $1,350. It ended up being $1,364, so we had just a little bit of wiggle room. My paycheck was the same. I'm on salary, so it was $1,852.34. We did not take care of the oil change. It was such a crazy first part of the month. And my husband's schedule was being changed up a little bit. He was having to go in really, really early, so he was getting off about lunchtime, and he wasn't able to take in the Highlander for that oil change. So we didn't do anything there. So our income, including our roll forward, was $53.64.28. Coming down here to expenses. We didn't spend anything on autofill. Like I said, we didn't do the $70 transfer from the auto fund account, and I actually ended up transferring $100 into our autofill sinking fund. Groceries, we did go over slightly that first week, or not the first week, but that second week. Kids allowance, they did help quite a bit, but I just was so crazy I didn't sit down and transfer the money into their account. So I'm just going to carry that over till next payday when it hits. Fund money, we allocated $70. My husband spent $49.61 out of his allowance money. Our mortgage was the same. Pets, I did have to get the dog food, and then I did purchase the fish tank supplies. So that came out to $83. Shopping, we spent $232.70 total for the first week. And then utilities, I had budgeted for our electric bill and our gas bill this payday, and the two of them together came out to $231.46. So we were slightly under budget there, which is great because I did not check the student loan at the beginning of the month, and I had submitted an income-based repayment application again. It's time for my annual renewal, and they actually ended up increasing my payments on all of my student loans. So this one went from being $30 and change, up to $46.73. So that's another thing I'm working on this weekend, is going through and kind of adjusting the budget for the new student loan payments when they do come time to pay them again in January. So I did pay the one that we have been paying, and it was $46.73. So as far as expenses go, we had budgeted $22.85. We spent $2,069.02. So we were under budget overall, and we only had two slight overages. So I think we're doing pretty good so far. Down here at the very, very bottom, I have my sinking fund section. So I am holding on to $11.60. That's going to cover this current payday, as well as some of the bills at the beginning of the month. We have our roll forward. We actually ended up with $10.81 carrying forward. And then the auto fund, I put $52.24 from last paycheck into the auto fund during this pay period. So that was $22.93.24. coming up here to the debt section. Everything up here at the top is just our reoccurring regular minimum payments. They are all on auto pay for the minimum amounts. So we did pretty good on all of those. My budget was pretty much in line. It's just the city card for some reason. I've been budgeting 50. It was just under 50, and this month it was 51.48. So slightly over on that one, but that's okay. It's not too bad. Newegg, that was actually $10 less, so I think I'll be able to adjust that going forward as well, and just go ahead and drop that down just a tad bit more. And then we did make a snowball payment onto our Chase Amazon account, and we actually paid that one off. It was $415.61. So we had budgeted to spend $1,005 onto our debt. This paycheck we spent $975.22. Any differences that we have in our utilities and just our regular items that we budget for in our debt items, I'm actually using to contribute to our emergency fund. So my goal so far for the month was to contribute $200. I knew that we could contribute $150. So this payday I had planned on contributing $50, and this coming payday will be $100. With the budget variances that I had for that very first week that I was able to check in on, I was able to transfer $89.80 into that account. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to meet our $1,000 goal before the end of the month, which is really exciting because I was starting to think that that was going to have to carry over into October. So that is how we are doing so far for the month of September. I have to say that I have been working really, really hard to try and keep bills down within our budget amounts. And I swear I'm like a little budget Nazi. My husband's like, well, how much money do we have to spend? Or can we go and do this? And I'm like, no, we don't have the money. So I've been trying really, really hard to stay within budget this month. And it's starting to pay off. I feel really, really good. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I know it's kind of a longer video, but I did want to go through all 3 weeks with you guys on how we were doing so far and the things that we were changing up. If you're a new subscriber, thank you guys so much for joining me. I really did appreciate all the new subscribers lately. It really made me feel really good. I was starting to get a little overwhelmed with just how things were going, and it's probably me just micromanaging the budget and working so hard and being tired, but I was really starting to feel overwhelmed this month. But I am starting to feel a little better about where we're at with the budget now that I've been able to sit down and really go through it all and see where we're at. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you again soon. Thank you guys.